Around the time Faye became a practicing attorney in Statesboro, Sarah Hall was chosen as Bulloch County's first female juror.
Yeah, I remember Sarah Hall. She never married and always worked with the welfare department.
She headed up what is now called the Department of Family and Children's Services. Back then it was called the Welfare Department.
She lived on Zip Rail, and she had a brother named, I think he worked for the Georgia Power.
I believe it was 1955, and that was on a Traverse jury.
But it wouldn't be for some 20 more years before the first female grand juror would be chosen.
Until I had been sworn in as a judge, which was after November 1, 1978, the first female appeared on the grand jury of Bulloch County, and that was Ms. Fred Hodges, Jr. I recall that.
And Ethel would sing with some of the greatest gospel artists of our time.
And I sung with Shirley Caesar. I didn't sing with her, but she came to Statesboro, and I did the first part of the opening up of the service. Then another girl did it, and then Shirley Caesar came in.
Faye would eventually change roles. She would go from the first female attorney in Bulloch County to the first female Superior Court judge in the state of Georgia.
I wanted to do better. I didn't want to be a farmer. I didn't know what I wanted to be, and no, I'd never thought about going to law school. I'd never thought about being a judge. When I left to go to law school in 1955, I had one foremost thing in my mind. I'm coming back to Bulloch County. In September, the news came that I had, quote, passed the bar examination. And it was one of the happiest days of my life. I was spending the weekend at my father's down on the farm, and Cohen Anderson came down that morning on a Sunday morning with the Atlanta Journal and a list of the passees, and my name was in there.
But they were all first, really. The first onslaught of women and their daughters working, in some capacity, outside the home.
One would holler, going to pick tomatoes, 20 cents a basket, you know. And then someone would say, well, we picking beans, 30 cents a hamper, you know, like that. So whichever person had the highest money to pay, that would be the one my mother would get on that truck. And she'd get on the truck, and the truck would hold about maybe 10 people.
I got 50 cents for a manicure and 75 cents for shampoo and said if you got a cream rinse, and I got permanents, 2 for $5.
The Depression was really the beginning of it. So many women had to work then.
I worked at the dime store, at McClellan's dime store on Saturdays, and I made 19 cents an hour.
During wartime, when so many men were going away, being drafted, and by the thousands every day, so there was a shortage, and women were needed to fill those shortages.
Well, I went to work with Western Union in the tobacco market of 1943. I was 17 years old. I went to college at 15 and a half. There were 500 students at Georgia Southern, and it was approximately $60 for a quarter. But $60 was like getting 5,000 almost.
I worked 37 years in all with the banks that I worked at. I worked for 20 years for First Bulloch Bank and Trust. That's when they built the bank here in Portal. I worked downtown at the main office until this one was built, and then I came up here and worked for 20 years. Then I retired.
I started working when I was 16 at Ben Franklin's dime store, which was right across the street here.
And I started taking care of this elderly gentleman, and from that I went on to take care of Zach Henderson. He was the president of the Georgia Southern College at that time. From there, Bird Daniel, he was one of our doctors here. In fact, Bird Daniel was the one that, when I was born, he spanked my buttocks. So I took my birth certificate out to him to show him that he was my mother's doctor at that time.
In 1985, I went to work for the Bulloch County Commissioners and worked for them until 2008. And now I'm working part-time.
My mom worked at the factory called It Is Now Brody's.
I've always worked.
Women are becoming a part and have become a part of that man's world to the extent that we're now there, we're accepted, we're part of it. But it was a gradual process, a little bit at a time, no pushing, no shoving.
And the ladies haven't stopped moving forward, not since Dr. Denmark pioneered the way for them all, and she was from right here in Bulloch County.
Dr. Leila Denmark is a remarkable lady to be from Port.